Hey guys, my name is Bruce Gust, and my name is Bruce Gust, and while web development is what keeps the lights on around here, I guess you would consider me a fitness enthusiast, and so I'm just stoked to be considered as part of this show. What makes Loose, guys? My name is Bruce Gust, and while web development is pretty much what keeps the lights on, you would probably consider me a fitness enthusiast. I got this thing called Loose Cannon Fitness, and I'm passionate about it simply because, in my mind at least, the thing that's often lacking with a person's fitness regimen is accountability. And what Loose Cannon Fitness does in a very creative, affordable, and accessible way, it packages accountability in a way where you wind up doing more than you would otherwise. A little bit about me. I spent 9 years in the Marines. 5 years I was an instructor at the Armed Forces School of Music. And it was during that time when I got involved in Taekwondo, and I got my Master Gunnery Sergeant to help get me ready for this martial arts tournament. And during that time, apart from him beating the snot out of me, he also taught me how to exercise, and he taught me how to eat. And this goes beyond what the Marine Corps was already putting into me just in terms of calisthenics and that sort of thing. But you'll see those concepts carried on even into the program that I have right now, just as far as the level of intensity that I learned had to be a part of your workout every time you went in the gym or anytime you did some calisthenics on your own. You had to perspire. I mean, with no inspiration, there's no perspiration, and with no perspiration, there's really no transformation, and that's what Loose Cannon Fitness is ultimately all about. After the Marines, I moved to Nashville, and I mean, you'll learn about this in the thing that I filled out, but I'm a national recording artist. I got involved in a band, and we got a country music deal. And again, the idea of being, somewhat fit when you're on stage and that kind of thing, it always made fitness a bit of a priority. But it really took on a whole different meaning when I was diagnosed with osteoarthritis in my hips, and I had both my hips replaced. Prior to that surgery, I immersed myself in all kinds of information about diet, because some people, according to some schools of thought, will tell you that the reason I had the problem that I did was just because of the sort of foods that are very typical of the American diet. So in any event, that's when I really started getting hip to vitamins and minerals, and really making sure that you're giving your body the things that it needs in order to truly function and to ward off disease. After I had my hips replaced, it was a miracle. It truly was. I went from walking like a duck to being able to run the Marine Corps Marathon. So that was a cool thing. Fast forward several years later, I got invited to be part of a fitness class, and they said it's going to be incredibly intense, so make sure you carb up the boot camp. So I went, and it really wasn't all that intense, and I wound up talking to the supervisor of the rec facility, and I asked if she would be willing to let me bring my own class, and that's where Loose Cannon Fitness started to take shape, because everything that we did in this class was dictated. I'm going to give you the exercise, I'm going to give you the number of reps, and I'm going to give you the pace. And the end result was 45 minutes of just incredibly challenging workouts. And so often with these other programs that you see, you have the opportunity to do things at your own pace. And anytime you're given some kind of slack, human nature dictates that you're going to take as much advantage of that as possible. And consequently, you don't push yourself as much as you could or should. So after I taught that class, I think for about 2 or 3 years, I got invited to be part of the staff with the local middle school football team. I was their strength and conditioning coach. And everything that we did was just as intense, but at one point one of the coaches comes up and said, "Bruce, could you better mimic what's going on the football field?" In other words, you got intense spikes of activity, but then you got the huddle. So what I did is I took what I usually did, and instead of 25 reps, we did 10. But then you had 15, 20 seconds rest, and then you did something else. And then it kind of came to me. Let's go in, let's use my talent as a drummer, we'll establish a groove, and that's what gives you the cadence, put a little voiceover, and voila! Loose Cannon Fitness. So folks, I'm passionate when it comes to this kind of thing, and I'm hoping that what I'm sharing with you here resonates. But the bottom line is, if this goes through, and I become a contestant on the show, I know one of the questions is, what would you do if you won? It gives me a platform. It gives me a platform to take this approach, which in my mind is an exceptional course just because it's accessible, adaptable, and affordable, and it gives me a chance to influence and assist other people, and ultimately that's what it's all about. So there you go. Bruce Gust, Loose Cannon Fitness, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. My name is Bruce Gust, and you are in my office right now. I recently turned the half-century mark. A little bit about me real quick. I spent 9 years in the Marine Corps, originally from upstate New York. The Marine Corps got me down south and I've never left. Of those 9 years that I spent in the Marines, 5 of them I was an instructor at the Armed Forces School of Music, and it was my job to teach Army, Navy, and Marine Corps candidates for the respective band programs how to play and how to function in a military context. After the Marines, I moved to Nashville. I was the drummer on the Young Messiah tour, and a couple years after that, some guys that I met as part of some church affiliations, we put a country band together called Western Flyer. We broke the top 40, I think, at least once. But we did that for a couple years. It was then that I met my bride, and that's what got the Gust family established. I worked at Lifeway for a little bit, and as far as fitness is concerned, that's always been part of the landscape. In the Marines, I boxed, and then after I moved to Nashville, I did a bunch of things actually, but really things came to a head when I was diagnosed with osteoarthritis in my hips. And I went through a long regimen of trying to change my diet and maybe make a difference holistically. Ultimately, I did go under the knife, but the cool thing about it is 11 months, almost to the day, I ran the Marine Corps Marathon. Currently, I teach a fitness class 3 days a week. I also take Taekwondo. I'm thinking by this fall I should have my black belt. But the bottom line is Loose Cannon Fitness is basically a creative way of packaging the concept of accountability and just kind of mixing and matching all of that with the things that I learned as I was boxing and the things that I learned when I was trying to beat the hips with some holistic approaches, and especially in terms of my diet. But the end result is a situation where you've got a program that's adaptable, it's accessible, and it's just freakishly effective because of the way that it holds you to a standard every step of the way. The exercise, the reps, as well as the pace. And so take a look at what we're getting ready to do here just as far as the application, and I'm stoked. Man, I really hope that what I'm bringing to the table here resonates with you, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Guys, this is where it all happens, at least as far as where I'm trying to come up with the exercises and the pace and basically the regimen that I'll do in the context of my classes. Now, we don't have one of these at the class just as far as a pull-up is concerned, but a pull-up is just a phenomenal exercise for your upper body. What I'll do is I'll grab a 2x4, I'll put that across some chairs, and then I'll have the guys doing them kind of like inverted on the floor. Awesome. And then some of the other exercises that we do in the class. We do something called marching push-ups, which is like, what do you call these? Mountain climbers with the push-up, full body Marine Corps push-ups. But the end result is rather than giving you the opportunity of just doing however many that you can in a prescribed time frame, you stay with me, you stay with the cadence, you stay with the standard. And that's what makes all the difference. And ultimately, that's the difference between success and failure. And I can't tell you how excited I am about this. Hope to hear from you soon. Thank you. Thing too about the class that's important to me at least, and it doesn't always happen like I want it to, but in the Marines, they're always telling you how important it is to sound off because it forces you to breathe. And when we do our class, I mean, I'll count the cadence, so it'll be like 1, 2, 3, and then at that point, everybody goes 1, and that's just a sample, because in the military we had this thing, and every once in a while I'll have some former military types and we do this thing called a hoo-ah, and there's different versions for different military types, but in the Marines it goes like this. Smell that? That's a smell of success right there.